A pleasant morning to you all aspirants. Welcome to this Willspedia's Daily Current Affairs Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. And in this video, we will be having a discussion on the current events or news articles which are very relevant to the date of 10th of September. And we also request you to kindly subscribe to the Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel for receiving prompt notification. And the topics taken for today's discussion are listed as the first topic is the no confidence motion, and the second topic is the Hilsa Fish, which is in news because of the Bangladesh interim government is sending this Hilsa Fish around 1200 tons to India as a friendship gesture. And the third topic is the Himalayan black bear, which had its changing behavior in the recent times. And the fourth topic is the changing world order and the India-Iran relations with the changing world order. And the fifth topic is the Prelims Focus, where we discuss short current affairs which are very relevant to the UPSC prelims and very important for our UPSC preparation. This news article taken from The Hindu is about the recent passage of no confidence motion in the French parliament, which led to the dissolution of the government there. And with this news article, we will be discussing about the Indian parliamentary device known as no confidence motion from the UPSC prelims point of view. And what is the key takeaways from this news article is that the French Prime Minister Mr. Francois Bayrou, who lost his confidence in the National Assembly after getting only 194 votes against 364 who are against his government's confidence, which led to the dissolution of his government, and he has to submit his resignation under Article 50 of French Constitution. And there is a political crisis or the political instability over the French region because the government led by this Francois Bayrou has lost his confidence, and the Mr. Emmanuel Macron, who is the president of French party, who either has to appoint a new prime minister or has to conduct a new election for the appointment of prime minister there. And from the Indian point of view, the parliamentary device known as no confidence motion will have the constitutional backing from the Article 75, that is Article 75 of subclass 3, which is the constitutional bedrock, which stated that the collective responsibility of the Council of Ministers to the Lok Sabha, that is the lower house of the parliament, and if the no confidence motion is passed in the Lok Sabha, the Council of Ministers must have to resign from the office. And what laid the feature of no confidence motion or the procedure for the passage of this no confidence motion in the Lok Sabha or stated in the procedures Lok Sabha rules of 198, which is under the rules of procedures and conduct of business in Lok Sabha. And this no confidence motion can be initiated by any member of the Lok Sabha in a written notice manner, and the speaker has to ask for its backing to pass the or to initiate the no confidence motion into the house. And the admissibility or to approval of this no confidence motion in the Lok Sabha needs the support of at least 50 members in the Lok Sabha. And if the 50 members has admitted for the approval of passing this no confidence motion into the Lok Sabha, the time has been separate time has been allotted for the debate and voting of this no confidence motion for its passage. And the voting threshold for the passage of this no confidence motion will be of in a simple majority. So we have to note that the no confidence motion will be passed only in the simple majority, not on the absolute majority or special majority or effective majority. So we have to clear that the no confidence motion can be passed even in the simple majority by members present and voting, but not of absolute or effective majority. And the scope of and locus of this no confidence motion passage will have the say only in the Lok Sabha and not in the Rajya Sabha, because the Rajya Sabha is a permanent house of the parliament and it cannot be dissoluted. So it will be only initiated in the Lok Sabha and will be passed only in the Lok Sabha. So there is no say for Rajya Sabha in no confidence motion. And this no confidence motion was particularly passed against the Council of Ministers as a whole. not as a single individual member or the single minister has been comes under the purview of this no confidence motion. This no confidence motion will be of the collective council of ministers as a whole, not against an individual minister. So we have to be also clear about this for our prelims preparation. And what is the difference between the no confidence motion, that is the NCM, as well as the what is the difference between NCM versus confidence motion? The no confidence motion will be passed or moved by the opposition party. The confidence motion will be passed by the government to prove their majority in the house. So there is also a special motion or the parliamentary device known as the censure motion, which expresses their disapproval or any condemnation over certain issue or policy or act over the house or the government. And this no confidence motion will test the government's majority. That is the basic reason why the no confidence motion has been introduced, to test their majority in the house. And if carried, that is, if the no confidence motion is passed, it will lead to the resignation of the government. And there is also a measure called as floor test has been conducted for testing the majority in the house, which will be directed by the constitutional authorities, that is either by the governor in states or the president for the parliament, to verify the majority on the house floor. At the union level, it will be led by the president, and at the state level, it will be led by the governor to demonstrate majority. And this test was particularly over the Lok Sabha, because there only the government has the majority, or the Lok Sabha is only subject to dissolution. And we need to be clear that there is a separate distinction between the censure motion as well as the no confidence motion. What is the distinction between the two? That the adoption of this censure motion in the House of Lok Sabha needs to be stated certain reasons for its adoption. For the approval or the adoption of this no confidence motion in the Lok Sabha, there should not be any reason has to be stated for its adoption into the Lok Sabha. And this censure motion can be initiated against a single individual minister, but the no confidence motion will be of a whole, that it can be passed or adopted against the council of minister as a whole. And when the censure motion has been passed in the Lok Sabha, the minister or the council of minister as a whole need not to resign from the office. And with respect to this no confidence motion, the minister or the council of minister as a whole has to resign if the no confidence motion is passed in the Lok Sabha. So these are all the difference between the censure motion and the no confidence motion. And there are other parliamentary devices in the Indian constitution. So please have a quick overview and take note of this parliamentary devices for our UPSC prelims preparation. It will be very helpful. With this, we move to the next article. As a warm and cordial gesture of friendship towards India, Bangladesh interim government is sending 1,200 tons of Hilsa fish to India on the festive eve of Dashara and Durga Puja. With this news background, we will be discussing or focus more on the Hilsa fish from the UPSC point of view. And what is the decision taken by the Bangladesh interim government is to send 1,200 tons of Hilsa fish. And this gesture of sending or exporting the Hilsa fish to India is also a symbolic gesture of enduring friendship between both the nations of India and Bangladesh. And the announcement of exporting this fish to India on the eve of this Dashara festival will coincide with the India-Bangladesh Joint River Commission meeting, which falls on September 9th of 2025, to discuss about the river water sharing between both the nations. And we have to know about the Hilsa fish. The scientific classification of this Hilsa fish comes under the family of Clupidae, which is very related to the herring type of fishes. These herrings are a type of silver fishes and having high commercial value. And the classification of Hilsa fish under the IUCN status, that is International Union for Conservation of Nature, The status of this Hilsa fish has been classified as least concern in the IUCN list, and the cultural and economic significance of this Hilsa fish is that it is the national fish of Bangladesh and also the state symbol in the West Bengal and Tripura of Indian states, and it also has the greatest contribution in the Bangladesh economy, that it also has the 12 percentage of Bangladesh fish production, and it contributes around 1.15 percentage of GDP of Bangladesh. And with respect to the biological features, the Hilsa fish is an anadromous species which basically lives in sea waters, but it migrates to fresh water for spawning. And the peculiar feature of this Hilsa fish is that it moves up to Ganga river for its spawning activity. And we have to note, or we have to have a clear view over anadromous as well as catadromous species. The anadromous species lives in seawater and migrates or move to fresh water for spawning activity. But catadromous is a vice versa, that it lives in fresh water and moves to seawater for spawning activity. So we have to know the difference between anadromous as well as catadromous for the UPSC prelims environment point of view. And the biological migration route of this Hilsa species will be of Bay of Bengal region to Ganga, and it can also move to Allahabad region, that is Prayagraj region. And after the spawning activity, that is after releasing the fertilized egg and sperm for fertilization in the freshwater rivers of India, it moves downstream towards the sea. As it lives on the sea, it moves to freshwater, that is a river, for spawning activity, and it returns downwards or downstream to sea. And with respect to the India Bangladesh friendship, to from the Hilsa fish sharing point of view, it has the cultural diplomacy, that export of this Hilsa fish from Bangladesh to India, the decision will be an goodwill gesture ahead of the Indian festival, which has the cultural significance over this festival. This Hilsa fish is very famous in the regions of West Bengal, Assam, and the other regions which are very associated with the Bangladesh, and it is also very related to the Durga Puja and Dasara festival. So it has the prominence over this festival, and this Hilsa fish is also popular in the eastern Indian states, as I stated earlier. It is very famous in the region of West Bengal, Assam, and Tripura, and the export of this Hilsa fish symbolizes the soft diplomacy. We can easily quote it in the mains answer between both the nations, that India and Bangladesh, it is a type of soft diplomacy between both the nations, and it also be an people to enabling the people to people contact between both the regions of Bangladesh as well as India. And the other areas of cooperation from the Hilsa fish or this sharing point of view is that the river water sharing between both the nations. Notably, the notable river is the Teesta river. The sharing of rivers, the Teesta river, between both the India and Bangladesh has been quoted for the other areas of cooperation. And the trade and connectivity is the prominent area of discussion or the cooperation between both the nations, that India will be the one of the greatest contributor to the Bangladesh economy, or the exporter to the Bangladesh economy, and India is among the Bangladesh largest trade partners. And security, and with respect to the security and border management, joint efforts on terrorism and insurgency has been initiated between both the nations, that engaging of BSF and the Bangladesh military force has been prominent in the areas of border between both the nation. And with respect to the trade and connectivity, border hats has been conducted for the engagement of trade or the enabling of trade between both the nations. These are all can be quoted in the mains perspective or mains answers. With this, we move to the next topic. In this news article from the New Indian Express, we will be discussing about the Himalayan black bear and its changing behavioral pattern. And what made it in news because of the unusual aggression shown by this Himalayan black bear has been evidently reported in the region of Uttarakhand. And in the past 25 years, around 68 human fatalities has been reported and 1972 severe human injuries also has been reported. And the aggression made out by this Himalayan black bear will also be evident in the attack of livestock in hundreds of numbers. And the expert also noted that the normal aggression of this Himalayan black bear will be evident in the pre-hibernation feeding of this species to sustain the 3 to 4 months of its hibernation. And we also has to note, or we also can come across the term known as hibernation from the ecological or the species point of view from the environment. So hibernation is of a winter sleep. To skip the winter season, the species went to the dormancy state for skipping the winter period. And we also has to note, apart from this hibernation, there is also an separate term known as estivation, where the species went under the dormancy period or the dormancy state in the summer period or the summer season for skipping the summer. So the species went under the winter sleep or the dormancy state during winter is called as hibernation, or the species which goes to dormancy state or sleeping the skipping the season of summer is known as estivation. So we need to note that. And this pre-hibernation period feeding, the Himalayan black bear shows aggression to maintain or to sustain the 3 to 4 months of hibernation. And what is the difference or the change in behavioral pattern is that the Himalayan black bear in recent times shows more aggression and activeness throughout the year, which evidently suggests the altered ecological behavior as well as the changing behavioral pattern of this species towards the Indian environment. And what is the Himalayan black bear is of? It is being identified by the binomial name of Ursus tibetanus laninger, which is a subspecies of Asiatic black bear. And the population of this Himalayan black bear got distributed in the Indian Himalayan states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim. And the habitat of this Himalayan black bear can be found in the broadleaf forest as well as alpine shrublands, which is found between the extent of 1200 to 3600 meters from the mean sea level. And the Himalayan black bear is found to be the omnivorous species which having the primary diet of plants, fruits, insects, and small mammals. And it also has been involved in the predatory activities occasionally. As we discussed in the earlier slide, that this Himalayan black bear, before venting into the hibernation or before going to the dormancy state, it was on the verge of predatory activities for its sustenance. As we discussed, the hibernation is a winter sleep as it skips the month of November to March, which was winter on that Himalayan belt, depending also on the altitude and food availability of the species. And it also got the classification of vulnerable under the IUCN status globally. And with respect to the Indian environment, it got categorized in the Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So we have to note it down that it got the highest status of conservation under the Indian environment, that is the Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. And the primary threats of this species is the habitat loss as well as the habitat fragmentation because of the reducing number of forest cover in the Himalayan states, which also led to the human wildlife conflict, that reducing in the forest cover in the Himalayan belt will lead to the direct conflict between the human and this Himalayan black bear. Attacks and the crop raiding activities also happen. And the primary threat of this species is the poaching activity, because it was highly valuable for its bile and body parts, and it also involved in the process of illegal trade. And what is the ecological role done by this Himalayan black bear is that it acts as the seed disperser, which is very important for the recovering of this or the regeneration of the forest cover over the Himalayan belt, and it also helps for the sustenance of other species which are depending on the forest cover. With this, we move to the next topic. This news article from The Hindu is explaining about the India-Iran's historical ties and civilization linkage, and it also has a brief note over the new horizon of engagement between both the nations and in the changing global order. And by literally examining or knowing about the changing world order, there are certain factors that exemplifies the nature of changing world order. The first thing is the rise of China as a global power. As we can see in the recent past, China has been emerged as a global power by expanding its horizon over various sectors of engagement, as well as various sectors of improvement. So it also has been in the challenging of dominance which was earlier possessed by the USA in sectors such as economy, technology, as well as the geopolitics optics. And the leading initiatives taken by the China is also becomes prominence because of its recent engagements with the initiatives such as Belt and Road initiatives, which is the rejuvenation of the earlier Silk Road, and the technology factors such as establishment of 5G networks and the artificial intelligence technology, and the establishment of global trade networks will also help the China to rise as the global power in the recent global order. And the China also has the expanding of its influence over various regions of world such as Asia, Africa, and even the Latin American countries. And second thing we need to note in the changing world order is the emergence of multipolar world. And earlier it was bipolar, either it was aligned to say capitalist of under USA or the socialist under the USSR. But after the fall of this ideology as well as the fall of United Nation, USSR, the emergence of regional power came into prominence, and the emergence of this regional power will lead to the distribution of power across the regional centers, which led to the distribution of power will spread among the various regional powers such as USA, China, Russia, India, and European Union. And the third major factor in the changing global order is the de-dollarization and the financial alternatives, and it is the less usage of dollars for the trade between both the nations, or the in usage of dollars has been significantly reduced in the recent times because of the financial alternatives as well as the mutual engagement between both the nations using their local currencies. And what made is it in the prominence because of the establishment of various multilateral organizations such as BRICS plus, and the new development banks, and the regional bankings organizations or the financial institutions will came into prominence across the globe. And the regional financial institutions provide financing mechanism for the establishment of regional powers in the region. And the fourth thing we need to note is that the in the global changing order is the weakening of Western institutions. As we can see that in the earlier discussion, I said or we discussed that the shift in the financial alternatives and the establishment of various financial institutions across the regional level will lead to the weakening of this Western institution, which was earlier financed globally, such as the International Monetary Fund, World Banks, and the United Nations has been considered to be outdated, and they are to be marginalized because they are considered as the West-centric organizations. And the emergence of new platforms such as AIIB, that is Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, will lead to the emergence of the financing mechanism in the regional level, as well as the say for regional parties and its regional powers. And what is the background of this news article is that the establishment of civilizational links, which was earlier done, or which was earlier in the between India and Iran, and the civilizational links is the first factor we need to know with this background of the changing world order between India and Iran. In the millennial old ties between culture, tradition, trade, philosophy has been part of India and Iran ties. And Persian will be the court language in the medieval times during the medieval period of India, which shaped the India's literature as well as its administration. And with engaging the modern era of both the nations, that is India and Iran, has been close ally during the time of non-alignment movement, which was initiated by the India in the global arena in the bipolar world, and later it got strained, or it got dissipated because of the US Iran tension over at that time. And what makes the India Iran a strategic importance is the energy security factor, as India majorly depends Iran over the crude oil import, as it plays a major role in the energy security sector. And India's initiative of establishment of Chabahar port in Iran, and the major initiative done in the global arena by India is the INSTC, that is International North-South Transport Corridor, which is a multi-modal transport connectivity network, which is a great initiative to bypass Suez Canal and to create regional connectivity to European Union. And it is also been a challenge to the US sanctions that India and Iran has recently facing sanctions from the US, which reduces and significance of India's oil import and slowed the projects which was initiated by both the nations in their respective domain. And what is the significance of Iran and India's cooperation is the first thing we need to note is the energy security. As we discussed earlier, the energy Iran played a significant role in the India's crude oil import. So Iran plays a major role in the as a oil supplier to India, and the connectivity connectivity projects like Chabahar port and international north-south transport corridor will have the access to Central Asia to European Union by bypassing the Pakistan. And the other major significance is the regional stability, that establishing the close cordial cooperation between India and Iran will create a significant impact over the cooperation in Afghanistan and West Asian countries, which led to the establishment of stable government as well as the stable mutual engagement between the organizations as well as the nation. And it also has the scope for the counter-terrorism activities, and the geopolitical balance need to be balanced by the engagement between India and Iran, which will also enhances the India's autonomy in the multipolar world. And India and Iran has the historical ties, so the cultural diplomacy plays a major role or a significant role in the engagement between both the nations, that it has the shared heritage of languages such as Persians and ideologies such as Sufism, and the major Urdu linkage will also help in the mutual engagement of both the nations, will also helps in the establishment and boosting ties between both the nations. And what are all the challenges of this engagement between India and Iran is the first challenge is the US sanction, which was in recent times in highest in numbers, which will eventually lead to the limiting of oil trade between both the nations. And the Chabahar investment also been dwindled and stalled because of this US sanctions. And the Iran, China, Pakistan axis has been in the prominence because of the recent engagement of Iran with the China, and it recently concluded its 25-year deal with China for its engagement with trade engagement with China will lead to the dwindle of or the reduction in the leverage of India's position over Iran. And the West Asian instability is also a major challenge for India's diplomacy, as the conflicted zones such as Palestine, Yemen, Syria will, and the stand of India's position towards this conflict will strain the India's neutrality in the global arena. And the other most challenge faced by India and Iran is the balancing act, that is managing ties with various nations like Iran, Gulf states, and Israel simultaneously is a great challenging factor for India's engagement with Iran, as these nations are of various ideologies and they are of various stands in the global politics. So we need to strike a balance to create a mutual solution for mutual engagement of various nations. And what are all the suggested way forwards for the India-Iran ties is that the strengthening of multipolarity, that is the strengthening of regional powers such as BRICS, G20, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization uh, and also has to take reform activities in the United Nations, World Trade Organizations, and the IMF. And we need to strike a balance and we need to have a balanced approach towards the engagement of various nations to avoid creating new blocks which will foster dialogue and issue based coalitions. And there is a scope for the engagement of south south cooperation, which will eventually create or boost the connectivity between both the nations and the technology sharing and the sustainable growth of both the nations. And the reforms needs to be taken over the financing mechanism as well as the trade mechanism between both the nations, and the usage of local currency for trading various commodities between both the nations is a significant step taken by both the nations in the global arena to have a global significance. And also the establishment of new banks for mutual engagement and fair lending, debt relief agreements has been properly cooperated between both the nations. And the diverse models, apart from engaging in from the energy security perspective, not only from the energy security perspective, we need to have a diversified approach, and the diversified models will uh, create a dynamic approach in the engagement between the nations, and the non-Western governance paths and the cultural context we need to approach. With this, we move to the next topic. And the first topic for prelims focus for today is the Sri Narayana Guru. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had paid tribute to Sri Narayana Guru, a revered saint and spiritual reformer from Kerala, on his birth anniversary. And he is also known for his staunch advocacy over the equality and the establishment of egalitarian society in the Indian environment, and who fought against the caste discrimination and promoted the idea of one caste, one religion, and one God for mankind. And this can be of a UPSC prelims question, and there may be a possibility like who coined the term one caste, one religion, and one God for mankind. And the answer is the Sri Narayana Guru, and he is also a staunch advocate of the non-violence philosophy, and his message of equality is of a wide nature. And he also championed social justice, advocating for equality across the caste and community lines. He is also very famous for his famous movement known as the Arivipuram movement, which was happened in the year of 1888. And he also extended his support and cooperation towards the Vaikam Satyagraha, which is very famous for the upliftment of depressed class in the society. And he is a disciple of Ayavu Swamigal, from whom he learned yoga and meditation, which is also very important for our UPSC prelims. And there may be a possibility of his asking important works of Sri Narayana Guru. So some of the important works done by Sri Narayana Guru are Advaita Deepika, Atma Vilasam, and Daiva Dasigam are some of the important works of Sri Narayana Guru. So we need to note that. So there may be a question regarding this by listing this works done by Sri Narayana Guru in a statement or in a question. They may provide four alternatives with the various social reformers. By we have to identify whose work is this. So this can be asked in the UPSC prelim. So we need to note that. Please kindly note this. And moving to the next topic of prelims focus is that the investor education and protection fund authority, which is of less importance as of to the UPSC prelims preparation, but we need to know the basics about this in some detail. So recently it was in news because of the recent initiative taken by this investor education and protection fund authority for the mechanism to be made easier for the investors to reclaim or regain their money by simplifying the documentation process for low value claims. And it has been established in the year of 2016 under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So we need to note that under which ministry the Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority comes is that the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It is primarily established to manage the funds and protect investors' interest. And the new initiative aimed to simplify the documentation process or to reduce the documentation process as well as the time taken for the claiming of funds by the investors and to make it easier for the people to claim their funds. And the third topic is the unified pension scheme, which got recently notified under the various rules, and the government of India has officially notified the unified pension scheme under the rules of national pension scheme, which is a key step in the public sector pension reforms. And the unified pension scheme was first approved in the August 2024 and later it got came into operation in April 1 of 2025. And the guidelines was issued by the Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. So we need to note that this Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority is very important for our UPSC preparation, and there may be a question asked regarding this, like the Unified Pension Scheme was notified under which of the following authority, that is PFRD or some other organization they may list. So we need to note that. And the third topic is the National Hydroelectric Power Corporation. So this is also a very less important with respect to the UPSC prelims, but we have to know some facts about this National Hydroelectric Power Corporation, and it is in news recently because of the recent appointment of Mr. Bhupendra Gupta, who has been named the new chairman and the managing director of National Hydroelectric Power Corporation Limited, and he is being appointed by the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet. And the National Hydroelectric Power Corporation was established in the year of 1975, and the nodal agency of this is the Ministry of Power. As we can easily guess under which ministry it comes under, it is the Ministry of Power. But we need to note that the company status it accorded was the Navaratna. So this can also be a statement based question in the UPSC prelims. The National Hydroelectric Power Corporation is a Navaratna company. There may be a possibility of this question in the statement. And the type of the nature of this National Hydroelectric Power Corporation is the central public sector enterprise. And the primary role of this hydroelectric power sector or the hydroelectric power corporation is to boost the India's energy infrastructure, and it is majorly focusing on the hydroelectric power as it is a renewable energy. And recently it got the expansion of its purview to various sectors of green energy. As it historically only focuses on the hydropower, it now actively diversifying, or it extends its sector over the various energy resources or the green energy resources. This includes establishment of solar parks and in various states, and initiating pilot projects for both wind and tidal energy. And this is of UPSC importance. Why this is of UPSC importance is that National Hydroelectric Power Corporation, as we in the name states that it focuses majorly on the hydroelectric power, but it in recent times it got diversifying, or it extends its purview to various green energy sectors. So there may be a possibility of question asking regarding the National Hydroelectric Power Corporations is working for the establishment of solar parks in various states. There may be a statement, or the second statement will be like the initiation of pilot projects under various states was initiated by the National Hydroelectric Power Corporation, as well as the National Hydroelectric Power Corporation involved in the sector of tidal energy. So there may be a possibility, and we need to note that the Hydroelectric Power Corporation in recent times focus more on the renewable energy sectors of other nature like solar, wind, and tidal energy. So this is of very importance with respect to UPSC prelims preparation. And the final topic of prelims focus is the Bio E3 at 1 celebration. This is in news because of the recently completion of 1 year celebration, and under the International Center for Engineering and Biotechnology, which celebrated the first year of Bio E3, which was hosted in New Delhi, marking the 1 year of, or the first year of Bio E3 policy that integrates the biotechnology, integration of biotechnology with economy, environment, and employment. And this first year celebration was themed or celebrated under the theme of Institute Industry Interaction for Climate Resilient Agriculture and Clean Energy. With this, we came to the conclusion of this video and hope you like the video. Please share your positive comments in the comment section given below, and share the video to your friends. And please subscribe to the Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and click the bell icon for receiving on-time notification. Have a good day.